inshallah, we start with the ayah 108, right?
Yes.
Yunus.
Al-Hud.
Surah?
Surah Al-Hud. But you can start. I mean, that's one of the. That can be covered as a question. I can cover.
Surah Hud.
Let me find it. That's just one question I had because.
Yes.
Could you please repeat the topic and the question?
Yeah, the topic is mainly Usuluddin.
Right.
There are few questions also I gave Sheikh Jalil. Like in terms of Tawheed, when Ahle Kitab, they're not considered mushrik, although they do shirk. So why is that? And the other was related to Qiyamah and paradise and hell. There is an ayat in Surah Al-Hud which says they will exist until universe exists. So there is a limit on time.
Can you do the Arabic word?
Yeah, let me find that 1 second. Let me find that.
Yes,
So-
I found it. Surah Hud.
And there's and the third question I gave Sheikh is Jannat the goal or the reward?
Or neither?
Or well, that or both possibly. So that, I mean, that's my question. I'll find the ayat and I'll
No
give it to
problem.
you.
Inshallah, let's start with the first and second.
Yeah.
Inshallah, we'll go to that. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبي وحبيب الله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد
صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهاديين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم تنزيله لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاث صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I would like to congratulate each and every one of you for this wonderful job. I really wish I'm one of you. I really wish I got the opportunity to be one of those who are performing this itikaf. But I have one small request, and that is, if I'm not here with you this year, please make dua that Allah give us a life to see next year Ramadan, so we can be together in the itikaf. Inshallah. And my dua is here later, kuntu ma'akum. Really, it's really an honor that one specify their life, their time, their days, just for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a really honor, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it and give you the best reward in this beautiful, wonderful action, inshallah. And regarding to our brothers Christians, are they mushrik or they are not mushrik? The answer is, from our scholars, they are not mushrik. Ahlul Kitab are not mushrik. But for it to be clear, let me clarify what is shirk versus what is the Christian do that is not considered shirk. In Arabic, when you look at the word shirk, it means partnership. That is why in Arabic, a husband and wife, they are called sharik al-hayat. Sharik means partner. Sharikul Hayat or Sharikatul Hayat. If a man is called Sharikul Hayat, a wife is called Sharikatul Hayat. Because they are partners. In Arabic, when we say in Tawheed, when we say Ashirk, is for a person to take a God as a God. Like we believe Allah is the creator. And then also have another God beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a God also. That is called shirk. When you go to the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that the Mushrikun Makkah, that's what they used to say. They say, مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَا إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفًا. They say, we believe that there is ultimate God. They believe that. And Quran mentioned, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. When you ask them who is the creator of the heavens and the earth, لَيَقُولَنَّ Allah. They say, it's Allah. But at the same time, then they are also worship those idols, but their intention of worshiping those idols, as they said, لِيُقَرِّبُونَ. That they can bring us closer to whom? To Allah, the biggest one. So, but the point is here, they worship Allah and they worship those idols. So, مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ. The word ibadah is there. That they took those idols as God too. They worship them. Plus the other God too. So there are two gods, two different entities who are being worshipped in this matter. Allah the great one, and then the other idols too. That is absolutely a shirk in Islam. That no person is allowed to believe in more than one God or serve more than one God. That is the shirk. Now the Christians, are they also in the same line? It might look, but it's not. Why? Here's the thing. Christians, when you ask them, majority of them today, they'll say, they believe there is a God, the creator, like you and I, we do. And then they believe that Jesus is a son of God. And then they believe also in the Holy Spirit. Now listen careful, that's the difference, the bottom line with the difference between the first shirk and this one. They said, even though there is a God, there is Son of God, there is the Holy Spirit, but at one point, all the three is one. Now these three together become one, that makes them one, non-Mushrik. You know, the other group, no, they believe that they are two separate entities. That's when you look in our fiqh, our scholars, they don't consider them najis because of that. Because if they found them as a mushrik, they're najis. إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ najis, Quran says. The reason why they don't call them mushrik is because they believe that, yes, there is a God, there is a Son of God, but at the end of the day, they are all considered one. Which today, if you ask some of them, they say, yes, we can't explain to you how they become to one, but we believe that they're three, but they won't at some point. Now, this is the reason why they are not mushrik. That's why even our scholars, when you go to the fiqh, like fiqh Sayyid Sistani, hafadahullah, they believe not only they are not mushrik, you can even marry them. Well, if you go to the fiqh, to the Quran, and Surah Al-Baqarah, you and I, we are not allowed to marry mushrik. وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكَاتِ. Allah said you cannot marry mushrikah. So if they were mushrik, then we wouldn't be able to marry them. No, also in the other way around. So in Islam, what they say about the Christians, yes, they do believe that a God is one and plus the other two, which today, if you want to put it today, that is how I put it. For example, they look at these three, Trinity, which is God and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Today, like you look at one, you take a cup of water, and then you bring a tea, right? Tea is one thing. Then you bring also, let's say, sugar. There are three entities, right? You put the leaf in the water, you put the sugar, they all disappear. Now it becomes what? One drink. Where three all are combined together. In some extent, that is how they look at God. That they believe that there is a supreme God, and this, the Son of God, and the Holy Spirit, at one point, they all consider as one. So at one point, the Christians, they are considered muwahideen. That is why when you go to the Quran, when Allah talked to them about them, it said, وَمِنْهُمْ, among the Christians, أُمَّةٌ قَانِتٌ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ آنَاءَ اللَّيْلِ They say they read the book, they pray, they do Amr bil Maruf, they do Nahy al Munkar. So Quran itself didn't consider them as people who are mushrik. For that matter, we don't consider them mushrik. We consider them as tahir. They're pure and they're clean. And the reason is because at one point they have some sort of tawheed, even though they are messed up in their belief. But at one point they have the tawheed, which qualifies someone for one to be tahir. So that is one about the Christians, that they are not najis in this matter. Yes. Any question before we go to the second? Yes, please.
After you say,
Please go ahead.
no, please.
Yeah, well, this Trinity, it seems that I have read some ulamas, they say that historically that was not part of Christianity. It's a recent sort of a belief that they have adopted. So is there a possibility that when Quran talks about Nasara, they are not the ones that we, for example, see, or the ones who, for example, talk about Trinity? There may be those Christians who do not see, or do not have this concept of Trinity. They may still call Jesus Son of God, but not God Himself.
Yes, if we have a Christian, that might be, there might be possible. There is no doubt, according to our belief, that the Christians of today are not the Christians that Prophet Isa alayhi salam started with. And that is why we believe that the book has been changed. The Torah is not the same, because there's a lot of changes that took place. So we believe that the book and the Christians of yesterday at the time of Isa and today are not the same. Now, but in reference of the Christians that we have today, and the belief that we understand from them, as they say, what they believe is, which we have to give them the benefit of doubt. Because in Islam, when something we doubt about this is najis or not najis, in Islam, kullu laka tahir, until we prove in that they are najis, we can't call anybody najis. Because we have, in effect, they call it qa'idatul haliyya. That in Islam, everything is considered halal, is considered pure. Now I walk in the house, I don't know, this house, is it najis or not? As I say, you have to assume it is tahir, until you're proven to be najis. So the Christians of today that we have, according to their belief that they presented to our scholars and to our knowledge, if the person didn't come out and say, no, I believe that God is one different entity, Jesus is another different entity, and also, for example, the Holy Spirit is also considered one entity, which makes three different entities, then we can consider mushrik at that point. But as long as they believe that no, they are all three are considered one at some point, then we have to consider them as tahir. And based on that, our scholars and maraja, they consider them tahir. Yes, there are some maraja who still consider them they are not, but the majority of them, they say no, they are tahir in that sense.
Can you say something?
Yes,
Just to support
please.
what you say. I was searching the word shirk in the Quran, and what I found is like Allah always talks about the Yahud wal Nasara wal Mushrikeen. So they are separate. Allah always separate them, separate the Yahud wal Nasara wal Mushrikeen.
والذين أشركوا.
Yeah, والذين أشركوا الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والسابئين. So the Yahud wal Nasara والذين أشركوا. So Allah always separates. There's separation between the Yahud and Nasara and Mushrikeen. And also, if you look at لقد كفر, Allah didn't say لقد أشرك الذين قالوا إن الله. So Allah knows that they are worshipping saying that Isa is the Son of God and the Holy Spirit, but He didn't call them mushriks. He said لقد كفر. And there's difference between kafir and mushrik in the Quran. Wallahu a'lam.
Yes. And also on top of that, also the Christians of today that we have, yes, they might have some different sort of beliefs. Some of them might have different kind. But at one point, they don't consider Isa as God. Because if we call him Son of God, they call all of us are children of God too. Not just Isa alayhi salam, some of them. They consider every human being is considered, we are children of God. So at one point, they believe that we are all in that boat. So they have some sort of tawheed. And that is why we can't consider mushrik in that sense. But if we have one Christian or a group who come out and say, no, we believe Allah is one different being, and then also Jesus, and then as the mushrik, then yes, then we can consider them mushrik. But up to now, we haven't found one that comes in that sense. Yes.
in the context of your clear definition of shirk,
Yes.
its application of our daily life as Muslims, related to shirk khafi, the hidden shirk. For example, in actuality, I might put my possession or my children by which Quran tests us the purity of our qulubs.
Yes.
And sometimes, there is just a hair distance between Tawheed and Shirk.
Right.
What's your take on that, or related to, day-to-day life of a Muslim?
Yes.
Because I always find myself at the edge.
Right. Yeah, the word shirk, it has different branches. One branch of shirk is called Shirkul Jali, and then the other one is called Shirkul Khafi. The hidden shirk, and then the apparent shirk. Apparent shirk is what we're talking about, the Christians. People who take other things to be a god. That is one side of shirk. The other one, which the brother is talking about, is the shirk that we might be involved in, but we don't know. Because one ayah in the Quran is amazing. Allah says, now listen, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ إِلَّا وَهُمْ بِهِ مُشْرِكُونَ. Majority of them, they will not believe in Allah unless they are mushrik. They're believers, but they're mushrik too. Which kind of shirk are we talking about? One of them is Riyah. When I stand in front of Allah, I'm a Muslim, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the moment where I started to act because I want to impress someone, that is called shirk. And even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inni la akhaf. He said, I'm not scared about a mu'min who is doing things from the heart. No, a kafir who also doing from the heart. Wa innama akhaf. The one that I'm afraid is the one who does things in the reason of to display something and hide something else, which is nifaq. So sometimes we are part of that too. That we do certain things, we believers, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but sometimes our action might be mushrik as well. And that is very, very even scarier than the first one. Because when you go to the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ هَلْ أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا. Akhsarin, see we have al-khasir, and then we have akhsar. Like we have kabir, akbar. Right? Khasir, a loser. Now akhsar, the worst loser. Right? Meaning, if you bring any person who is loser, right? Now this group are the losers of all the losers. Now who are those? Now listen to the Quran. It said, الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Those who lost everything in this world. They lost everything. They don't have anything, right? وَهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. But they have a large hope that they have a lot. They have done something. Now you want to say, who are those people? Al-Mushrik al-Mura'i. People who do something for the sake of show off. Now, I built a masjid for the sake of show off. I went to Hajj for the sake of show off. No, they built them. They did. It's not like they did. They did do the job. Right? But Allah said the job is turned into dust. It's no longer there. But he or she still thinking the action is there. Now, Yawm al-Qiyamah, they come, they give them their book, right? Iqra' kitabak. They open the book, it's empty. They open, it's empty. They open, it's empty. And that is why Quran called them the losers one. Because they're doing shirkul khafi. And that is worse and more dangerous than the mushrik, which is al-jali. So that is something that we have to watch. That's why in every action, like some of our maraja in Hausa, even when you ask them a question, they say, I have to wait and make sure that I clear the niyyah so that there is no even the smallest shirk in there. So when I answer the question, it's just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the purest action, the purest ibadah, it doesn't matter whether it's salat, hajj, zakat, khum, any ibadah that we do, the value of that ibadah is when the value becomes just for the sake of Allah. Doesn't matter how small it is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how big it is. If the action is big but it's shirk in it, it doesn't mean anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, simple example, when you go to the battle of Khandaq, Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he sat on the chest of Amr ibn Abdul al-Amri and he spit on his face, what did he say? He said, "Ma aradtu an aqtulahu tashaffiyan li ghaybi." He said, I didn't want to kill him because of myself, because of self. Now here, he doesn't want to do shirk, which is he is killing for the sake of Allah, but at the same time also to make himself feel happy about it. No, he said, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ يَسْقُطَ أَنِّ الْغَضَبِ. I want me to come down, فَأَقْتُلُهُ لِلَّهِ وَحْدًا. So then I kill him for the sake of Allah. Now look at this action, right? After he killed him, now look at the Prophet saying about this action. He said, وَاللَّهِ ضَرْبَةُ عَلِيٍّ يَوْمَ الْخَنْدَقِ أَفْضَلُ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الثَّقَلَيْنِ. Just one shot of Imam Ali, just one. He said, it's better than the ibadah. And ibadah means what? Salat, Hajj, Zakat, Khum, Amr bil Ma'ruf, Sadaqah, everything that, and not just human beings, is also including jinn, all of us, our action. He said that tawheed of Imam Ali is better than all of us. Now what gives it that value? Because he did it just for the sake of Allah. So that is the importance in any ibadah, that we should try to make sure that the niyyah is very, very clear for the sake of Allah.
Yes. Just a follow-up question. Sorry, after this beautiful explanation, taking you to technical aspect. For a munafiq and mutazahir, what's the fiqh and sharas? Because with the real mushrik, there are certain rules. What will happen that somebody is nominally Muslim, but then actually is the type of mushrik you just explained, in terms of, for example, najis and mutahhar and things like that?
No, a Muslim who is a believer, but they have some kind of shirkul khafi, they still consider tahir. They still consider tahir, but they are Muslim asi. Muslim who commit sin. Because they're supposed to, whenever they do ibadah, it's supposed to be just for the sake of Allah. But in terms of the najasa, no, they are not najis. They will be treated as Muslim and tahir. But what it is they have nothing in the sight of Allah as soon as they started to act for the sake of riyah, for the sake of show off. And that is really, really dangerous, really. You know, one of our scholars, you see, one day he was leading prayer, right? And then, you know, he was knowledgeable, people like him, his speech and everything. The next day he came, the number multiplied. Then he said, no, I'm not going to lead the prayer. Why? He said, I want to do Friday. Everybody should pray Friday today. No jama'ah. Why? He said, as soon as I walked in and I saw the large crowd, I felt something in my heart. And I don't want to lead the prayer for the sake of show off. So everybody should pray Friday. That is how careful our marriage is. Because this is a tiny line that if I just, the niyyah can just take me either this side or that side. And this niyyah is, that's where the action, all the action start. That is why the Prophet said, niyyatul mar'i khayrun min amali. If the intention is pure for the sake of Allah, sometimes it's better than the action itself.
But what's the logic of it, despite such a negative, rightly harsh definition of munafiq? And because I have been encountered with this question among the youth. What's the logic, the reason behind it, that you just explained that how worse. The shirk khafi is worse than anything else, especially when you compare with Awamir al action being the best among all the ibadah after why, for example, Quranically defined munafiq is not najis versus mushrik?
Yes, munafiq also, there is no doubt that munafiq also is another dangerous one. Because the Prophet says, إِنِّي لَا أَخَافُ مِن مُؤْمِنِكُمْ وَلَا مِن كَافِرِكُمْ. So I'm not scared or worried about the munafiq, about kafir or mu'min, because they are apparent, they are clear. The kafir is not kafir, the mu'min is not mu'min. وَإِنَّمَا أَخَافُ مِن مُنَافِقِكُمْ. He said, the one that I'm scared in any society, the ones that play a dangerous in the society are the munafiq. That's why when you go to the Quran, we have a whole chapter in the name of munafiq. In surah, many surahs, like in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah divided people in terms of the faith into three groups. He started with the muttaqeen, and then he comes to the kuffar, and then he started with the munafiqun. And then he goes into details. And then he doesn't stop there. He goes to Surah An-Nisa to talk about how dangerous this munafiq can be. And Allah said, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. That's Yawm al-Qiyamah. Al-Munafiq is the one who gets the even worse punishment, the bottom of the Nar Jahannam. Why? Because a mu'min is shown that I'm a mu'min, I'm a believer. A kafir is clear. But Munafiq is very, very hard to tell. Even in one of the surah, Allah says, Ya Rasulullah, some of them are so good in nifaq that you cannot even tell. وَمِمَّنْ حَوْلَكَ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مُنَافِقُونَ لَا تَعْلَمُهُمْ. You don't know them, Ya Rasulullah. نَحْنُ نَعْلَمُ. We know them. That the Prophet being the expert, the most knowledgeable, but Allah says you don't know them. That is how some of them are very, very tricky. Some of them, Quran says, وَلَا تَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. Allah said, I can give you some sign how you can determine, how you can find who is munafiq or not from their saying. Some of them from how they make excuses when the war comes, and so on. But it's very, very hard to tell. But here, in the case of the mushrik al-khafi, shirk al-khafi that we talk about, the most dangerous of these shirk al-khafi is that the person, he also claimed to be a believer in Allah. But at the same time, whatever he does, he keeps Allah aside and seek the pleasure of others. That is the danger of that action. Because if we believe that Allah is the greatest, He is the creator, He should be the center of our focus. That when I pray, Allah should be the focus. When I give sadaqah, He should be the focus. But in shirk al-khafi, no. I believe He's the creator, but when it comes to my a'mal, no, Allah is not. I want the attention of people. That is where the danger is. Because Allah is not a focus in that aspect of mushrik al-khafi.
This distinguishing between mu'min, munafiq and kafir this definition is looking outside in a sense. Right? For example, I can put people in front of myself and say, here's a mu'min, here's a mushrik and a munafiq. But looking inside yourself, how do you figure out where you are? If you are a kafir, you can clearly say, I'm a kafir because if I do X, Y, Z, I really don't believe in it. If I'm a mu'min, you know, you really believe in something and have iman on it.
Right.
Well, how do you really know you are a munafiq? Because the Rasul can't know. Right? And that should be very important for me to find out about myself before it is to find out about someone else around me. Because I should probably protect myself more than I should protect someone else.
That's right.
May I also add something? For example, it's a very practical issue, for example, and I'm not going to give an example from this country because that may not be politically correct. So from Pakistan, for example, I know some people and some are my friends. They are part of for example, the government, for example. They work in army or some organization.
Right.
and their job is to go to the Muslim community, their own community, get information from there, and then give that information to the government so that they can control these things. And they are in this sort of a confusion whether what they are doing is nifaq or not, because they don't want to do it, but they are still doing it. And when they come to the community, they pose as if they are friends. They don't tell them that we are here to get the information. Are they munafiq?
Good question. Now, let me explain that. The question of the brother, how do I know that I am munafiq or not? Now, let me give the definition of munafiq. Al-munafiq, they say the definition of it is يبطن شيئا ويظهر غيره. He hides something and displays something else. When a person does that, that's munafiq. That's the definition of the munafiq. That I have something in my heart. Like when you go to the Quran, Allah described them, that what they do is that they are not believers. They don't believe in Allah. They don't believe in the Prophet. But for one reason or the other, which mainly is for the self-interest, because they want to protect their interest, so they know that if we display our faith or whatever we believe, our interest might be in jeopardy. So what happens is they hide it. When they see you or they see any person else, then they display something else. That's what Quran says. وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا إِنْ آمَنَّا إِنَّا قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ. When they see the mu'min, they say, oh, we are with you. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. When they go to their shaitans, Quran calls them shaitans, I say, إِنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّا كُنَّا نَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. They say, إِنَّا كُنَّا نَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. So what they say is that they display something to the mu'min, and then when they meet their real people, they say, no, we are just making fun of them. That is called nifaq. But that is different between what we call a shirk al-khafi. A shirk al-khafi, no, is different. A shirk is believer. Not that he is displaying two faces. No, al-mushrik al-khafi, what he does is he wants people's attention. He wants people's pleasure. He wants people to say good things about him. That is where the danger is. Okay? Now, how do I know? There is one beautiful saying of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq was asking one of his servants, one of his followers, is how do we know if I'm real or not? He said, لو كان بيدك حجر. If you have a stone in your hand, just stone you pick in the street, you have it in your hand. فقال الناس. Then all people say, that is not a stone, it's a gold. He said, would it change to gold because people say it? Of course not. Right? I pick a stone, now the entire universe, everybody says, it says gold. Is it going to turn to gold? No. Still going to be stone the way it is. Good. Imam said, okay, وَلَوْ أَخَذْتَ ذَهَبًا. If you take gold in your hand, you have a gold in your hand. فَقَالَ النَّاسِ. And every human being on the planet says, إِنَّا حَجَرٌ. It's not a gold, it's a stone. Is it going to change to become stone? So no. No, the point of Imam is this. If I'm not what people say about me, it doesn't change anything in the sight of Allah. Meaning, if today I want to show people that I'm a mu'min because of the way I react, so people can say, now the entire world can say, you are a mu'min. They say that. But in reality, I'm not. Is it going to change anything in the sight of Allah? No. Now, the other thing is, let's say everybody comes and say, you're a bad guy. You're a bad person, right? But you know in the sight of Allah you're good. Like the Prophet, what do they call him? Majnoon, Sha'ir, Kadhab, Sahir, all these names. But did it change something in the sight of Allah? He's still the same person, nothing changed. Now, how do I test myself? How do I test myself to know that I'm in this line, which is the line of mu'min or mushrik al-khafi? Which one? Here the hadith said, إِذَا بَلَغَ الْعَبْدُ الذَّمُّ وَالْمَدْحُ عِنْدَهُ سَوَاءٌ. When you get to the point, criticism praise is equal to you. That means you're not mura'i anymore. Meaning, it doesn't matter. Somebody comes and says, MashaAllah, you have a beautiful voice. It doesn't make me feel something. Somebody comes and says, oh, you're bad. It doesn't make you feel guilty. As long as you know you're doing the right thing. And so when you get to that point, then that means you are not mura'i at that point. Meaning at that point, the only focus is in yourself. So that's how we can test ourselves. Now let's say, for example, I'm doing something. Somebody comes and says, oh, you're bad, you this. Right? MashaAllah, if I send the person to the court because he is destroying my name, my fame, my this, and that means that what? There is something wrong. That is how we can tell. Now, in regarding to the second question about when people were used to get some information. Now, in Islam, you know, in the Quran, we have a word called tajassus and we have tahassus. It's all mentioned in Surah Yusuf. Right? And in Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah said, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Right? And Surah Yusuf said, اذهبوا فتحسسوا. The difference is one dot. Tajassus, there is a jim dot over there. Tahassus, no dot. Right? Tajassus is haram. Tahassus is good. Tajassus is what? Is to try to follow somebody's mistake which they don't want anybody to know. In other words, to spy on somebody. That is haram in Islam. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. It's haram to spy on somebody just to get some information. What are they doing? Where are they going? Where did they come? Where did they go? It's haram in Islam. Tahassus is good. That's why in Surah Yusuf, Prophet Yaqub, when he told his children, he said, اذهبوا فتحسسوا من Yusuf. Go and spy. Go and check. Go and research. But they said the difference is that, see the difference between tahassus and tajassus. Tajassus, I'm spying to find negative. Tahassus, I'm spying to get something good. And the good is always good. When you're looking for something good, it's always good. Now, if I'm trying to look and trying to find something, research and to find something good, that is absolutely allowed in Islam. It's not called tajassus. Meaning, if I'm working for any person, like you said in Pakistan, like they want to get information for the good of the country, that's fine. Even in Islam, sometimes the Prophet ﷺ, he sends some people to get information about certain things to make certain things happen, good for the people. But tajassus, no. My intention is evil to begin with. I'm going to spy on this brother or this sister or this community just to get some evil things and then use it against them. That is haram. So it depends on the action. Which one are we doing? When I'm there, if I'm going for the good intention, then it's tahassus. If it's for evil, it's called tajassus and it's haram.
Let's go further a little bit on this, because how you define this is good or not.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, well, I'm just, how you define if it's good or not, because you can say, well, the government is claiming they're going to use this information for goodwill.
Yes.
But everybody knows that the government probably has more pressure from the outside to get some information, and you are somebody's using the government, and the government is using you, and you are in the middle. Am I doing what I'm doing is right or wrong?
In some cases, people have this sort of a remorse also. They know that what they are doing, they shouldn't be doing it. But they still do it and they justify it by saying that this is my job. If I don't do it, I might lose, my livelihood and all.
Especially when you're talking like the ISI, you know who they're working with, or for, actually.
That's another one, is when you feel like your job, the security of your job, and you say that Allah is the provider, but you really are not. Inside you're not. When you say I'm fearing my job, you don't believe Allah is the provider. Is it like that kind of shirk? Or you?
Yeah, see, the point is this, brothers. Al-Quran is clear. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. Every one of us, we know ourselves. When we can make excuses, right? But we know ourselves that when I get into something, I know why I'm getting into it. I can tell if it's good or bad, right? Now, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to use this at Imam Musa al-Qadhim alayhi salam. During his time, he had one companion who was working for Bani Umayyah. Right? When he came and he told Imam, do I need to work for these guys because they're bad? Imam said, as long as you're there and you're doing good for the mu'minin, stay there. It's a bad government of that time. As an unjust ruler, oppressor. But he is there in the government using his position to do the right thing. Imam says, stay there. Now another one also with Imam Musa al-Kadhim also, which is at the time of Harun al-Rashid. It's called Safwan al-Jamal. Safwan al-Jamal, he had a lot of camels that he rents. Harun al-Rashid came and rented his camel. And Imam heard, Imam Musa, Imam called him. He said, Ya Safwan, I heard you have rented your camel. Is that right? He said, yes. He said, do you want him to go? And he was going to Hajj. He said, do you want him to go safe and come back safe? He said, yes. I said, if you do want him to come back safe, then that means you are part of him. You're part of his oppression. Meaning you will be with him. Immediately Safwan al-Jamal sent a message, I need my camel back. I'm not renting anymore. So the point is this, you and I, we have to know, why am I doing this and what am I doing? If you are not doing or you're supporting any kind of oppression, then one have to leave that immediately. But if I know that my job, I'm doing something positive, good, that's different. For that matter, in this situation, one is the teacher of themselves. You have to tell yourself. Like I said, but they making the excuse that this is my job, what can I do? That is not an excuse. Absolutely, it's not an excuse that this is my job. No, you have to leave. Trust me, if you leave haram for the sake of Allah, Allah will open the door of halal for you. Just have the trust in Allah. Today I say, I want to do halal. I stop haram. Tomorrow Allah will open the door of halal, inshallah. Yes, ma'am.
So, as you are explaining, shirk and makhfi, is action is not that much important. Your niyyah is important.
Absolutely.
Right? So niyyah depends. But there's another side of it, that sometimes your niyyah is pure, but your action may not be pure. And I know that there are some sects who give sajda to human beings, but they believe in Allah and all the imams and prophets, but they give sajda to someone. So here probably their niyat is good, correct, but their action is not the one. So how do you reconcile that?
Yes, as we mentioned, I don't know, I think I've shared this story from the Quran. I just want to elaborate how important the niyyah is. That in any action, the niyyah is what counts. If you go to, I believe, Surah Qaf, Allah talks, Surah Al-Qalam, Allah talks about the youth who their father died and left them with a big farm, and they have the intention, from the night the father died, they say, we are going to stop every poor person from coming to the farm. Allah yadkhulannaha alaykum miskin. Nobody's going to come to you. وَغَدَوْا عَلَى خَرْدٍ قَادِرِينَ. In the morning, they woke up one another, whispering, they don't want anybody to know. By the time they get to the farm, they couldn't recognize the farm. All the farm burned. Dark, everything is gone. Just one night. Now Allah SWT says, فَطَافَ عَلَيْهَا طَائِفٌ مِّن رَبِّكَ وَهُمْ نَائِمُونَ. No, these people, they didn't stop anybody. They have the intention of stopping. Allah took that blessing from them. That is what one of us call it. The Mufassirin, they say, that tells you the importance of niyyah in every action. Now, in Islam, when somebody has an intention, good intention to do something, but in the process of action, there was some mistakes or wrong, they can be forgiven as long as the intention is good. So if I want to do, I have a good intention. Let's say, for example, my intention, I'm going to Hajj. My intention is pure for the sake of Allah. But I wonder, my sa'i was not done properly. My tawaf was not done properly. Yes, here is justified. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept, and you will be forgiven. But if the intention is not, even if the action was right, then the action doesn't mean anything. Yes.
One question, I mean, we're talking about mu'mineen right now, but for a non-Muslim, if their intention is, I mean, since they don't believe in Allah, for example,
Right.
their intention is good, that they want to help somebody, not for themselves. They purely want to help somebody, give them money or whatever they need.
Right.
Is that of any value, that act and the intention behind it, or that basically because they don't believe, it's all void anyway?
Amazing, this question. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ مَنْ أَجْرَ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we do not. إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ. We do not. نُضِيعُ, we don't lose any person who did the good deed. Any good deed, Allah said, it's not going to go for in vain. It doesn't matter how small or big it is. But there is a difference here. And that is, sometimes I do good and in the faith of believing in Allah. That is different. Sometimes I do good, but I don't believe in Allah. That's also different. Now, the difference between these two is that any person who believes in Allah and then they do the good deed, they have account with Allah. So anytime they do the good deeds, Allah put it in account. It's like when you go to any bank, right? You bring a check. You say, I want to deposit this money. They ask you, what is your account number? If you don't have account number, where are you going to put the money? They say, no, we can't deposit this money. Right? Now, a mu'min, a Muslim, when they do a good deed, Allah said, because you already did shahadatain and that is your account number, then we put it in your action, in your account. So your